Hi guys, welcome back to the Casual Watch Review channel. In this week's episode, I've got a strap review for us, and this is going to be a review of the brand new Uncle Seiko strap for the Omega Speedmaster here. I'm sure a lot of you have seen this on social media. There's a lot of buzz around this strap at the moment. Uncle Seiko's first aftermarket straps for the Speedmaster. Now, if you've come to this channel searching for maybe aftermarket straps for the Speedmaster or Omega aftermarket straps, you might not know who Larry at Uncle Seiko is. So a very quick history lesson. Larry at Uncle Seiko is the name of the business. He essentially recreates vintage watch straps. As the name would suggest, he started off doing vintage Seiko watch straps. So he has these rubber straps that he recreates. This is affectionately known as the chocolate bar strap. This came on a Seiko watch that was featured heavily in Apocalypse Now. Because the watches still survive, but the rubber of the time, you know, the 70s, perished badly, they're very hard to find new old stock rubber straps for vintage watches. So he recreates these straps using all modern materials, and the rubber compound he uses is pretty cool, actually, pretty fantastic. So if you've got vintage Seiko watches, you can buy straps from him, or if you want to give a vintage look to one of your modern watches, I wear this on my Turtle, then it's the place to go. He's very famous in the Seiko circles. One of the other things he does as well is not only does he recreate the rubber straps, but he also recreates metal straps. So this is a vintage Seiko watch. This is known as the Kukume. It was a mechanical chronograph, and for anybody that knows, Seiko made mechanical chronographs for only 10 years. So there's a thriving aftermarket collectors community. Once these metal straps failed, there was no way of getting a new one. Seiko don't keep old parts from vintage watches. They won't sell you a vintage watch strap. So Larry goes to all of the effort of having these tooled. So he lovingly recreates metal straps as well for vintage Seiko watches. And then what he also does is he does vintage inspired metal straps as well. So here, very modern Citizen Eco Drive here. I've got an Uncle Seiko Beads of Rice strap on it. Originally I bought this Beads of Rice for the Seiko Turtle. I've got quite a few straps from Uncle Seiko. One of my favourites is the razor wire strap, but he makes these for new Seiko watches, the SKXs, the Seiko Turtle watches. He also creates this for some of the Orient watches, and then he has these straight end link versions as well. So I bought these straight end link versions. As you can see, I just threw it on this Citizen watch here, and I think it looks pretty cool. So I'm a big fan of Larry at Uncle Seiko, all of the hard work that he's doing. Let me just move some of these out the way. And just my little usual disclaimer, Larry did send these in for review, but he hasn't been asked for, been offered, or been given any input in this review, positive, negative, or otherwise. This is my honest review of these straps. If you've seen this strap online, then there might be a few things you're wondering. There was certainly a few things I was wondering, and to save you kind of scrolling all the way through to the end of the upload here, let's just get those out of the way. In almost all cases, the straps that Larry makes for vintage Seiko watches, so if we see this chronograph again, they're always an improvement on the strap that came with it. Seiko aren't well known for putting good straps on their watches, not even the new Seiko watches that come with metal straps. So any of the ones that Larry makes, they're always an improvement. The same with the rubber straps that he makes. But this one is giving a vintage look to your Speedmaster. The strap itself is not the same quality as the one that comes on your Omega watch. If you're thinking, is it the same quality as the strap that comes with the watch? It isn't, and it's not really meant to be. The other thing you might be wondering as well is it uses hollow end links. So if we think of vintage watches, which this is a vintage watch strap, so if you think of vintage watches like Rolexes, for example, they all came with hollow end links at one time. So the Omega comes with solid end links. This is hollow. What that means is that these tiny little ears that brace themselves against the back of the Omega watch case. Now, if you're wondering whether those ears will scratch the back of your watch, I'm going to say yes, they will. They will leave a mark because essentially it's metal on metal. So if you're a person that collects Omega watches and keeps them kind of in pristine condition, you don't often wear them, then just so you're aware that it will likely scratch the back of your lugs. If, like me, you wear your Omega as a tool watch, doesn't really bother you whether there's a tiny mark on the back, then you're going to be have no problem with this. I just so happen to have put tape on the back of this because I've just recently had my Omega watch serviced, and if you're interested in that, there's a link down below. I went through everything that I had replaced, process, how much it cost, etc. Just so happens that I put tape on the back of this because I know I'm going to scratch the hell out of this watch when I start wearing it, but I'm just kind of delaying the fact. So just those 2 points I wanted to get out the way because those were the things that I was most interested in. Other than that, let's get started with the review of the strap. So for a start, I love these beads of rice straps. As you can see, I've got one of my sitters in here. The reason that I love them is they're very light. The construction has a lot of thought put into the design, so it's a lot lighter than the strap that comes on your Omega watch. Also, because of each of these are individual beads of rice, that's why it's called beads of rice, because of these center links. They're each individual sections, so it means that there's a great deal of articulation, a lot more articulation than your standard Speedmaster strap, unless you've got one of the newer ones that came on their 50th anniversary. Also, these straps, these beads of rice, never came on the Speedmaster. You might find some Seamasters with them, and certainly Doxa watches. Gives a real nice look. I think it looks fantastic on this watch. The hollow end links as well, because they're hollow, you can actually bend them slightly at the tips, and I needed to do that. I just kind of pushed it on the table a little bit because I've had my Omega Speedmaster polished, so it wasn't exactly flush. I think there was a little bit of material that was taken off as they were polishing them, so I did need to bend these links. But I think it just gives it an awesome look. Definite pros are it's lighter than the stock one, a lot of articulation on here. Let me just put it on the wrist to show you a quick wrist shot of it here. Just so you know, I wear my straps, my metal straps, quite tight. I don't like them moving up and down my wrist, but then it's not, cutting off the circulation or anything. Also, there is 3 points of adjustment on the bracelet itself. So there it is on the wrist. Extremely comfortable, extremely light. I think it just gives the Speedmaster an awesome look. Also, the strap is reversible, so it's matte on one side. So if you wanted to reverse it round and have the strap look all matte, so not the polishing, you'd have to kind of use a Brillo pad or something just to get rid of the shine on the actual end link here. But you could easily flip it over. So that's a definite pro. It's light, very comfortable. The only cons, I would say, with the exception of the lug here where it probably will mark. On his other straps, this buckle is typically 20mm at least. For some reason, this deployment clasp has now been shrunk down to 18mm. This isn't as smooth. It is a little bit crunchy. You might not notice this if this is the first Uncle Seiko strap you've got, but there is certainly if you're familiar with the Uncle Seiko clasp, then there is certainly a difference there. It doesn't impede the functionality of it. It just is a little bit crunchy. Now, it might be this particular one, but I do have a good friend to the show, Sean. He also has this for the Speedmaster, and that's one of the things that he pointed out for me, was that the deployment was a bit crunchy, but other than that, it doesn't really impede with it. It's just you will notice it if you've got other Uncle Seiko straps. So guys, there was a review of the Uncle Seiko strap. A big thanks again to Larry for sending me this in. Overall, I think he's done a really good job of this. I can't think of anyone that's made an aftermarket metal strap specifically for the Speedmaster. So 10 out of 10 for the effort, and 10 out of 10 for supporting the Omega community as well as the Seiko community with these fantastic aftermarket straps. If you're interested in checking these straps out more, I'll leave a link in the description down below. As always, if you want to contact me directly, contact me on any of these social media links, or directly, as many of you have, at thecasualwatchreviewer@gmail.com. As always, I really appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time on the Casual Watch Review channel. Thanks guys, bye.